Evening, everyone. Let's see if we can get things set up here. Bear with me for a few minutes. I'm going to try to get the laptop going so I can see the questions a little bit easier. We got a lot of responses coming in because of that last free tool giveaway video, so give me a few minutes to kind of get things loaded here so I can answer your questions a little bit easier. Here we go. Turn the audio off so we don't have to deal with that. Live chat, there we are. Hey everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. Just got done doing that last video some of you already probably have seen on the tool giveaway, so I thought I'd take a moment to answer some questions. As long as we've got everything going good on the laptop. What's up, Mitch? Awesome. Doom Coons, how are you doing today? Sunday, right? No one enjoys Sunday because that means we got to go back to work tomorrow. Volume is very low. Let me see what I can do here. Probably because where the camera is. I'll try to talk to you. I'll try to read the questions from here and here, whatever works best, because like I said, I still get a lot of notifications from everything else, from Instagram, Facebook, that's going to pop up. So we'll try to do it from here. Hopefully you can hear me. Can't hear. All right, y'all chime in as I'm talking. Hopefully I got the audio good enough. You're welcome, Mitch. Always glad to give out the wristbands. Got bunches of them. I love mine. I wear them all the time. I can hear just fine. Awesome. Yeah, it's probably the direction I had everything in. I apologize, everyone. I was talking towards the laptop, which probably didn't help. What's going on, Anthony? Hopefully everybody's relaxing and not having to work on anything that they've got broken in their driveway. Thanks, Manny. Yo, David, can the Demons intake chiller be purchased and installed on a Hellcat? I have no idea. Sounds like a pretty cool system. I remember reading a little bit about it. Not sure if it can actually be swapped over. I think anything's probably possible as far as, who knows what it's going to entail. Obviously some AC lines, stuff like that. Once it gets out there on the market, I'm sure someone's going to come up with something. But it still hasn't hit the lots or a lot of lots. I've seen some pictures online where a couple dealerships had it in their showroom already. So time will tell. It's definitely some technology that kind of sounds intelligent enough, so we'll see. It's kind of like the AC system on the hybrids. We use that to help cool the battery packs. Okay, let me see. Got some questions. Let me jump over here and see what they are. Bill, do you have a rack at home? I don't know. Is that a question? I wish I had a rack at home. What's up? I have a 2017 Dodge Durango RT. How can I remove the front emblem? Do I have to take off the whole front fascia and grille to do that? Try to remember on that one where it is, if it's located on the grill. If it's on the grill, then yes, you do got to take a lot of stuff off in order to get to it. I don't remember that emblem being on top of the hood, so you can't just take it off with some fishing wire or piano wire. More likely on that one, without having to log in to find out, you're probably going to have to take the grill off to get most of the stuff off that you need. Have a 2014 Ram with a 3.6 Pentastar. What's your opinion of that motor? It's a good motor. It does have some issues over time. I mean, you're looking at an engine that can pump out 300 horsepower at a V6, which is pretty impressive for being that, I mean, not too many years ago, the V8s weren't even putting that out. There's some reliability things over the years that we've come across, lifter issues, rocker arm issues, the oil cooler assemblies. But for the most part, I guess maybe some of that is because it's the main V6 engine in our vehicles now. So being that there's so many of them out there, you're going to see some problems. If there was fewer of them, you probably wouldn't. So it's not a bad engine. Personally, I'm more of a Hemi fan just for the V8. But I understand that some vehicles only come with the 3.6 or entry-level 3.6 on the Rams. It's not a bad engine. It's just depending on what you're going to be using it for, because every truck that I've owned over the years, I've always felt like I didn't have enough power, didn't have enough room inside, couldn't carry enough cargo. So that's why I've got the Mega Cab 6.7 diesel. So it's just a matter of what you plan on using the truck for. Basic run around town, not pulling any heavy trailers, you'll probably be fine. But as far as longevity, they hold up fairly well. You just got to keep changing oil and doing what you're supposed to. You keep up on your maintenance and try to at least head off the things that you can prevent, because there's always mechanical failures that are kind of out of your control. Why does my 2017 Cummins high idle all the time, David? I guess that's one of those things that's got to be checked to see if that's abnormal and what you consider to be high idle. Usually once they start off, they warm up, you should expect it to drop down to around 700. That's about the most common area for RPM on a diesel. Should be in the 1,000 range. If you have anything higher, then it could be a problem. Now that thing's fully electronic as far as the throttle. It's not like a vacuum leak could cause it on this one. Unless you get in a check engine light saying that something's wrong, it may be within normal operation. And that could be based off of temperature outside and stuff like that. So it's a matter of monitoring the data to see what the actual position and the desired position are. And if they're the same, then the software is interpreting different things, temperature like I mentioned, and it's probably normal. It just depends on what you consider to be high. As we go through these questions, if there's a lot of them piling up, it may take me some time to get to them. So please don't get upset. I get to them as soon as I can as we scroll through, as I try to get as many as possible. Sorry, I meant can't auto start. Bill, what was that about? Oh, you're talking about that. All right. Sorry, Bill, I didn't mean to jump over you. Let me see what you got here. I'm missing the positive for my evap sensor on my 2006 Impala. I can auto start the car, causes its throwing engine code. Is there a way to delete it from programs so I don't have to run new positive wire? Bill, I can't tell you much about an Impala. You know me, I am brainwashed, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. As far as Impalas, Chevrolets, I know probably absolutely nothing at this point. So many changes over the years, it's kind of hard to keep up with cars, so I've been focusing on only what I see at the dealership, and that's that brand. Personally, I haven't run across anything related to that. Hemi tick. Hemi ticks depend on certain issues. You can have an exhaust manifold leak, especially on the trucks, that will tick for a few seconds, maybe 10 to 15 seconds, and then once it quiets down, it can go away. That's usually a broken exhaust manifold bolt. You could have bad roller lifters causing a more noticeable noise, kind of irregular at times, can actually eventually cause misfire codes. But as far as those two issues, the third one is kind of a normal tick you can hear on a Hemi, especially if the Hemi's been sitting for a while. Like we have salespeople go out to the lot to crank up maybe a Challenger or something that's been sitting there for about a month or two, and it will tick like nothing else. It's kind of embarrassing if a customer's standing out there and they're kind of looking at the car, because the first thing they're going to think is, wow, I don't want to buy this because of the noise. But the Hemi tick, if you've looked online, it's kind of a normal characteristic. As long as it isn't one of those two things I mentioned before, exhaust leak or the roller lifter issue. Bypass filter system. I'm assuming we're possibly talking about the crankcase filter or the PCV valve. I'm trying to think what they call it. There's a canister people like to run with the crankcase filter on a lot of the cars. I've been getting asked that a lot. It's kind of a, man, why is it the name of it? It's catching, it's going off, I'm stumbling, please excuse me. Oil catch cans is what I'm thinking of. Maybe that's what you're talking about, I'm not sure. If that's the case, I have gotten asked that a lot lately, especially on the 3.6s when I did the PCV valve video on the one I've got over there. A lot of people say they run it because either they're always a fear of carbon buildup, which really Chryslers don't have a big issue with carbon buildup on the cylinders. So running a catch can in that case, I don't really see a benefit. But usually any kind of Charger or whatever, Challenger, you pop the hood, someone's always throwing one on there. And I don't know if it's more because someone told them it's best or it's just aesthetics, because they, decking out under hood area, adding stuff. Personally, I don't see a good reason for it, because we don't really have that many problems. If you're getting oil into the air filter, then you've got some issues with crankcase pressure. Maybe that helps that. Oil consumption, maybe. But on the other end, as far as carbon buildup, we don't really have problems with carbon buildup. What are your opinions on a 2011 Chevy Suburban 5.3? You only do full synthetic oil changes and premium gas. Once again, don't know much about the Chevy Suburbans, but if they recommend full synthetic, kind of stick to it, because there's probably reasons for that, mainly items such as if it's got variable valve timing or the roller lifters, you definitely want to stick with the right viscosity and type of oil. Especially if they say full synthetic, go full synthetic. As far as premium gas, the software is designed to run around certain things. So the premium gas is probably being looked at by the O2 sensors, and it's running according to that. So if the manufacturer says a specific weight of oil, synthetic, non-synthetic, or what type of gas, I'd probably stick with it because the system's designed around it. 2009 Dodge Charger RT, remote start will not work. Only get one beep. Is there more than one switch to say that the hood is open or closed? I believe this is what is chasing my thoughts, please. That's what I'm chasing your thoughts, please. All right. Remote starts can be disabled by a lot of different things. Number one is if there's any kind of check engine light or any kind of code, it's going to cause that remote start to not work. The hood being open or saying that it's open can also cause the remote start not to work. Other issues are if the fuel level is below a certain level, it will also cause the remote start not to work. Now on that car, you should be able to, now you got to have access to a scanner that can go into all the modules. You should be able to look at the data to see what's inhibiting the remote start. You can also look at stuff like the hood pin switch to see that it is latched shut. So you're going to have to monitor it with a scanner that's capable of going in all the modules. Now that's not your typical code reader that you'll pick up or go to Advance or O'Reilly's and have scanned. It's something that has to go a little more deeper into it. So those type of scanners actually cost more. So that's something to look into. There's always a chance that the hood pin switch could be bad, or there's an adjustment on them too, that maybe it's not adjusted properly and it thinks it's open while it's actually shut. So you'd have to monitor it by looking at the data to see which one of the inputs might be causing that. 5.7 Hemi, reliable in your opinion, known issues. Hemi's a very reliable engine. We've had it since 2002, 2003, so that's about 15, 16 years approximately. Good engine, good power. You'll have some issues from time to time. The bigger issues I see are on the fleet vehicles, because they sit there and idle all day long, and a Hemi doesn't like to idle all day long because the oil pressure can get down to single digits. And when that happens, you can start having issues with the roller lifters. The needle bearings fail, and when they fail, then they start digging into the camshaft, and then you have other issues. But mainly we see that on patrol cars or other fleet trucks that sit there, like I mentioned, idle all day long. But for the most part, they're great. I've got one in my 2011 Grand Cherokee, and I love it. Love that power. But engine-wise, you change oil, you shouldn't have much problems. Just keep up on your oil changes, because it's got variable valve timing as well, and plus the MDS solenoids. So you don't want to get any kind of dirty oil through there, because it would definitely cause problems. 2016 Ram RT. If I change the throttle body, do I have to reprogram my computer? If you're doing a swap from stock to stock, for the most part, you should be okay. But there is a recommended procedure for relearning the throttle. You're wanting to kind of calibrate both the throttle body and the accelerator pedal position sensor inside the car. Let me say that, APPS apps. That way they're calibrated the same, because there's some redundancy in there. When you're depressing it, it wants to make sure it's reading two sides of that sensor. It's kind of hard to describe without looking at it. There's a graph. So it's able to monitor if one of the systems goes down. So there's a backup. So it's always trying to calibrate it, and that procedure calibrates it. But I've heard a lot of people just swap them out and you really don't notice a problem. If you've got access to a scanner, it's great to do the calibration. If you don't, you should be okay. You might not notice any difference. But like I said, it depends on what access you have to a lot of tools. Most people don't, so I can understand just swapping it out and see what happens. Do I need any special tools to replace shocks on my 97 Tahoe two-wheel drive? AJ, I don't know. Usually most shocks you don't. Most people have enough different assortment of sockets and all and different tools. Just a basic setup from what I would think, because once again, I don't deal with Chevrolets. But if it's like any typical shock out there on the market, maybe getting access to it might be an issue, because some of them, maybe the nuts are on the inside of the vehicle, especially for the rear. Otherwise, I wouldn't expect really anything special or out of the ordinary. It's just a matter of watching and being careful and make sure you've got the suspension held right so you can get it out, especially on the rear, because you don't want it to actually kind of extend too far once you take the shock off. So make sure you've got everything taken care of. Special tools, I really don't see any, but then again, I don't deal with Chevrolets. David, you're welcome, David. Thomas, why isn't it possible to install a lift kit on a KL Cherokee? Probably it's the body style, the setup. You know, most vehicles, the suspension's a little bit more beefier, like on a Wrangler. You've got a lot of different places where you can mount things. Cherokees and stuff like that, they're basically passenger cars, if you ask me. I know they call them Jeeps, but as far as I'm concerned, they're not the Jeeps that I grew up with and learned to work on. I hate to even see that name applied. They do got the Trailhawks, so they're jacked up a little bit, I guess, to make room for the bigger tires, but I haven't really seen what's on the market. I know that there's a 1.5-inch lift kit you can put on a Renegade. I don't know about the Cherokees. I haven't ever had to research it. I'm sure somebody's coming out with something. What it is, who knows, and how it works. Because the issue you run into on those type of vehicles are, usually on front suspension you can install different bracketry to lower the control arms and stuff. On these vehicles, the subframe or cross member that goes from side to side that the rack and pinion and all is bolted to, that's where the control arm mounts to. So in order to lower all that, you're going to run into issues. So I can see where there is a problem with installing lift kits on those vehicles. But like I said, someone may come up with something that might work. I wouldn't expect anything more than 1.5 inches probably. If there was, you're not going to get 2 or 3 inches more than likely. But then again, I'm not an expert on lift kits, but just from remembering how that vehicle's set up, I can see there being issues trying to get a lift kit for sure. David, on a 2015 Ram Express Hemi with 8-speed, what causes the ESM to buzz when the brake is depressed? The noise you're hearing is the shift interlock. So it's no different than the shifter that used to be on the steering column that wouldn't come out of park unless you depress the brakes. But it's the same way with that shifter knob. On the 8-speed transmission, there's a knob on the dash. It looks like a radio or blower motor knob. That will not allow you to come out of park unless you got your foot on the brake. So it is a safety feature. That is actually a concern we get complaints about from time to time, but that's actually normal. Okay, I see some questions here. I can't really see. I assume Ram Hemi 01. You're probably talking about that filter we were talking about earlier. I didn't remember which one we were talking about. If we were talking about fuel, if we were talking about crankcase, whatever it was. I see you're talking about filters down to 1 to 2 microns. Let me know what that's about. If that's fuel related, if that's what you're talking about. Hobo Garage, 2005, 5.9, throwing a P0148 high pressure checksum. Gauge 30k psi. Seems like diesel fuel discharge out the crankcase tube on the ground. FCA is new, didn't work. FCA in this case don't mean Fiat Chrysler. It means fuel control actuator. I'd have to dive more into that Hobo Garage, because that way I've got to type in the vehicle. I've got to search on Chrysler's end to see the code and kind of read through the information. Yeah, Mac, you shouldn't have 30,000 psi unless the fuel control actuator is commanding it or something else is going on. Now it's a 5.9, it's common rail. Max fuel pressure shouldn't be happening right now. That's high end of the spectrum. That is normal operations around 5,000. I'd expect that, but if you're going to 30, seems like that's extremely high. Without researching it some more, this one I can't quite do a live video, so I'd have to look more into it. Try to shoot me a message possibly later, and if I get time, I'll try to see what I can find. Big Willie West 78. Thanks for Impala and Suburban input on my questions. Didn't know you were mostly a Mopar guy. Kind of new to the channel. Appreciate it nonetheless, and will stay subscribed and give a like to your videos. Yeah, that's mainly what I stick to. You'll see a couple Fords show up every now and then, mainly something I might own or some family members or friends that I might work on. But for the most part, like I said, you know I'm Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, the majority of you. For those who don't know, that's basically what I do all day long at a Chrysler dealership. So for the last 20 years, that's all I've been brainwashed with. Aaron, is the 2.0 engine used in the Dart good? Believe it or not, those engines actually hold up fairly well. Once again, keep your oil changed. That's the main thing that you can do on your end. But they do hold up very well. We don't have a lot of issues with any 4-cylinders, especially those. So I don't see any issues with that. If you were probably ever going to have a problem with a Dart, it'd probably be transmission related, not really engine related. From time to time we do see some, but the only engines I've had to replace were because of failures for different reasons, mainly because someone probably didn't change oil like they should have. Dude, you're too smart. No, I'm not. Trust me. I'm not that smart. Appreciate the comment, though. 1500 Mike, 2012 1500 Hemi Tradesman, 2-wheel drive, ABS traction light. We're staying on. Replace both rear wheel sensors, lights. Lights no go off after a few minutes of driving. Have you seen this before? Mike, what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to pull codes. We got to see what's going on. I know you had a symptom. I know you threw 2 parts at it. I know you're trying your best on it. You're going to have to find out what's causing the message to come up. You're going to have a scanner to access it to see what the code is. That's going to tell us where we need to go, because there's a possibility that the thing's not related to the ABS speed sensors. So before we go throw anything else to it, we've got to scan it. Now, ABS codes, there's probably a good chance you can probably have that scanned at your local auto parts store like Advance or O'Reilly's. Usually they can pick up engine, transmission, and ABS codes, so that would be your best thing. Go have that checked. If you get any codes, let me know what they are, and I'll try to help you more. Dunes Coons, just put you on Google+. Thank you, sir. I haven't been using Google+ too much. Lately I have. Mainly shooting the crap with a bunch of other YouTubers, like Oz Mechanics here. He gave me a little free swag. Figured I'd wear it during this live feed. He's a member on there, so we all kind of give some pointers, talk about things. But yeah, Google Plus is something new to me. That's another platform or another way of conversing back and forth I got to get used to. Okay, let me see. I got to jump back and forth. Looks like we got some kind of jumbled up comments here. I don't know if they're related to other questions. Let's see. Jonte Love, are we talking about the Dart? What are we talking about, Jonte? Let me see, scroll back there and find out what you're talking about. I assume we're talking about probably the Dart, the whole transmission. Jonte, it depends on what vehicle we're talking about. The only issues I have with certain transmissions are mainly the 9 speeds. For the most part, they're getting better. Not a big fan of any CVT whatsoever that we've had. And as far as the Rams, the 8 speeds, if that's what you're talking about on the 8-speed and a Ram, a lot of the concerns are normal. I know that's probably not the answer anybody really wants, but the different shift points you feel, maybe a little hard upshift or downshift, different issues going down the road, for the most part, are kind of characteristic of that transmission. So it kind of falls under the realm of normal. But a lot of people don't like it because, of course, we all like to have smooth shifts, right? We want to go down the road and everything just go through each one of the speeds without a problem. But as far as reliability, they do hold up well. It's that whole learning curve from what you were taught or what you felt on other vehicles, like, hey, my 2002 Ram didn't do this, or, you know, that type of scenario. For the most part, the transmissions hold up well. They don't leave you on the side of the road. No parts falling off. But there are some different software updates to help address those concerns with the shifting. Sometimes they help, sometimes they don't. Steve, an 11 Ram, what diff fluids do you recommend? Steve, we use each one slightly different from what the specs are. We use BG products. BG is kind of like Wins. They're kind of an aftermarket company where we clean injectors with their stuff. We do coolant flushes with their stuff. They're kind of the additional sell points that the service writers always try to pitch to you. Like, hey, you need to put a fuel additive. Well, a lot of that stuff's BG. We use their stuff. It's one bottle that kind of just fits everything. It's fully synthetic. It's got additive in it, and we kind of use it. And I want to think it's like a 75, 140. I'm trying to think from my mind because being that we use the same bottle all the time, I can't really remember anything other than that. So that's what we use. Otherwise, I stick to, as long as you got the weight right, you're fine. Look in your owner's manual, see what your vehicle takes. As far as brand, I don't see any issue with brands. As long as you put the correct weight gear lube in there, you'll be fine. And especially if you need to add an additive. And one thing about additives on these vehicles, limited slips, you can add it in one that doesn't have it, and it's not going to cause any problems. So if you're worried about, do I need to add additive in this, there's no harm in going ahead to put it in because it's not going to hurt it. And if anything, it's probably what you already need. So you can err on the side of caution on that and go ahead and install it and not have a problem. My '08 caliber, new shocks, ball joints, tie rods, got in alignment, still doesn't drive straight. Well, that one unfortunately is going to require looking at the information as far as the alignment specs, seeing if everything looks great. Another thing you need to watch for is make sure you don't have radial pull. Tires can cause the vehicle to pull left or pull right. So you need to double check that as well. If everything is showing to be good on the specs or the printout they gave you from the alignment, you probably need to rotate all your tires left to right, both fronts and rear, then drive it and see what happens. You could have a tire causing your pull, and all the adjustments and all the parts you're putting on there might not have any effect whatsoever. Do you think that Mopar 10-year coolant, used in 2013 plus vehicles, can really last 10 years? Or would you recommend changing it earlier? So far, I don't really see a big issue with that coolant. I've got 3 samples at the shop. I've mixed 3 and 5 year, 5 and 10, and 3 and 10. And I've got them sitting there. They've been there roughly about a year now. And I'm seeing issues with 3 and 5 being mixed. They seem to be breaking down for some reason. Now, the rest of them seem to be holding up well. 10-year coolant, I guess we'll see. Whatever additives they put in there, I guess they're saying it's going to last. Time will tell. So far, so good. Don't really see a lot of major issues. There have been some vehicles where we do see some buildup in the cooling systems, like on the 200s and all, but I don't remember the year range, if it's the 10-year or the 5-year that's causing that. But personally, I would go every 100,000 miles, 100,000 miles is a great interval for a lot of things. It's an awesome interval for changing your coolant out. I know they say 10-year. 10-year also means 150,000 miles. So the interval for the 5-year was 100,000 too. So I would personally go, if I had a choice, go with the 100,000 mile interval. That's great for that. That's great for your power steering fluid. If you've got a system that has power steering fluid and not fully electric, also your brake fluid, having that flush. So it's a good interval to keep in your mind, 100,000. It's a good round number. So you know that certain things I'd recommend replacing at that time. Christian, when I press my brakes, my interior lights come on slightly. Help. Any ideas where to start to find a problem? Christian, that's going to be kind of a difficult one. Possibly a wiring issue somewhere going on. I'm trying to beat my head up about it. I'm trying to figure out what could have a carryover light. Could there be an issue with the running lights tied in with the brake lights or something? It's kind of hard to say unless you've got corrosion somewhere, you've got wires shorted somewhere, or you got a module acting stupid. I haven't really come across that, so nothing's really jumping out in mind, even on any of the vehicles we got. And that's why I didn't ask you which vehicle, because It's not a common issue I see. You could definitely have something random. You could have some wires that have been rubbing up against each other where finally they're making contact. Like I said, one of the control modules could be doing something screwy. That one's going to be kind of a hard one, Christian. It's definitely going to take some testing and finding things out. It's not going to be cut and dry. I wish it was. Justin from VT, 2012 Ram 2500, 5.7. Happened twice when transit code, stalled when comes to a stop. Could the lockup converter be sticking? Dealer could not replicate, does not throw a code. You possibly could have a torque converter that's staying locked up. It's kind of hard to say without driving it and seeing what's going on. Like I said, obviously it doesn't happen all the time, but it does. It's done it twice with you, and of course the dealer can't find it, which isn't uncommon. That's typically how it is. When they come into the dealership, a lot of things we don't really get to pick up on because it's not happening right then and there. No codes, once again, isn't helping us out at all. There's a chance it could be. I can't say go ahead and throw a torque converter on for that reason, though. Otherwise, I'm trying to think in my mind, what else could cause the stalling when the transit's code? Other than that, possibly. And that's kind of rare. I have to think about Justin. Nothing's coming to mind right now. Thomas, appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Greetings from Ireland. Awesome, man. It's got to be late over there. Well, it's nighttime, that's for sure. It ain't late. I used one of your video guidelines recently to do an automatic fluid change on my 5 Series BMW ZF automatic gearbox. It went fine. Just wanted to say thanks. You're welcome, John. A lot of our transmissions, believe it or not, are very similar from manufacturer to manufacturer. Like the NAG transmissions that we have behind some of the Hemis and stuff. That was from our carryover days with Daimler Chrysler, so Mercedes shares that, we share that. Now the new 8-speed transmissions in the trucks and the rear-wheel drive vehicles is a very similar transmission of what's in BMW, so there's a lot of crossover on what works and how they're real comparable in servicing and stuff. So yeah, you see a lot of sharing of components these days, mainly because probably the company that's making them for both of us is just selling it to both of us. It's not made by BMW, it's not made by us, it's made by some company somewhere, and they're just making it for different manufacturers. It's kind of cheaper that way sometimes. Where are we? Wow, so many questions. Trying to get to y'all. Please don't get upset. I had someone get upset last time because I didn't answer the question. But I will try my best. Are you going to do a video on a 2011 Grand Cherokee rear passenger electric door lock removal, especially on taking the inner door panel that holds the glass on? I probably need to do one. I just haven't had an issue to. It probably wouldn't be too hard being that I own a 2011. It's just a matter of taking it apart. So that's probably a good idea for me to come up with as far as finding the time. I got the dipstick video I want to do for the 62 TEs over there. I want to do the 2 oil pump videos on the 3.6. I've got a lot of videos I want to shoot. Plus there's some Milwaukee stuff I want to show you guys that I just haven't got around to. But I definitely need to jump on something like that. I'd love to do a radiator video on that too. But yeah, that's definitely one at Mark I'll try to keep in mind. Christian, interior lights come on fairly when I press the brake. Any idea I should start looking? It's a Chrysler Sebring 2009 Touring. Once again, Christian, kind of goes back to what I mentioned earlier. That one's going to be kind of a hard one to figure. Nothing's coming to mind at the moment. Like I said, unless some wiring's been chewed up, I just get a flashlight. I would look everywhere from inside the trunk liner area where the back of the taillights are. Look up under the vehicle the best you can, hood, dash, anything you can look quick and simple. Make sure nothing obvious is going on. Otherwise, it's going to take some time to check. Steve, I have a 2012 Ram 1500 Bighorn package. I need brakes and rotors. Should I go with factory OEM or aftermarket? If I use aftermarket, what's your recommendations? Steve, most of what I use, I probably don't even know what the brand is. The parts department supplies it for me. I don't see a big issue with aftermarket brakes. To me, rotors are rotors. They're just metal. As long as they're good, good quality metal, they're machine flat, I don't have a problem. OEM is what I usually always recommend to people. But aftermarket, as far as brakes, I don't see a lot of issues. There's no one brand I would recommend more than the other. It's just a matter of price, I guess. I don't usually go with the cheapest of anything because usually there's a reason why it's cheap. Either it's going to cause brake noise or something to that effect. But OEM whenever possible. But as far as brakes, I don't really have a big issue. If it had been something electrical or something, I would say stick to OEM. But brakes, I think you'll be fine. Just get some good quality components. You'll know by what you're paying for it. 6-speed, that's in the Ram. Okay, so John T. Love, that goes back to that question you're talking about, the trans issues. 6 speeds, not so much. I mean, you can get some quiver in that transmission. That should be a 545 RFE. I know in my Grand Cherokee at certain speeds I can get a little bit of quiver in it from the transmission, kind of a torque converter shutter. But for the most part, transmissions are great. We do solenoid packs from time to time. We had a recall on some of the newer ones for that. But if I have issues, it's mainly the solenoid pack. I don't have to replace many of those, and I haven't had to rebuild but just a few. They hold up very well. Solenoid pack, you'd be getting a code though. But I don't know why people would say there's a lot of issues with that transmission, because for the most part, it's held up great. We use a heavier duty version of that in the diesels, and it's been holding up well as well. The Buddy 1939, could you explain how the electronic e-brake works? Yeah, I had a question. I don't know if it was you or not. Someone had mentioned, is there an override for the electric parking brake on a lot of newer vehicles we have now? Supposedly in the radio there's some menus where you can put it in brake service mode where it retracts that, and we don't have to worry about it wanting to reapply while we're working on the brakes. But there come these situations where the parking brake's engaged, there's a failure in the system, and you're not going to be able to get it out of e-brake mode. Now, the e-brakes on these are fully electronic. The only way you can do it is by supplying 12 volts in ground. It's like a window motor. You supply voltage one way, it goes one way. You swap the voltage in ground the other way, it goes back the other way. So we've always been told at the training center, in some worst case scenarios, we might have to get up under there with a power probe or something. Some people said possibly a 9-volt battery, but reading up on it today it said 12 volts. I probably could grab one of these in 12 batteries with 2 wires, and I could probably actuate that to make it come out of e-brake mode so that the vehicle could be taken to a dealer and serviced. Otherwise it gets dragged on the record, which is never the best thing. Carlos GT 2008 Ram 6.7 automatic 4-wheel drive. What's the best delete kit you recommend? Kit you recommend in California for best performance and better MPGs? Carlos, I don't get to deal much with delete kits. Everything I deal with is pretty much stock. So I read up on things, and I know there's a lot of stuff you don't necessarily have to do. There are some what they call stealth deletes, where you're gutting the inside of the diesel particulate filter. You're not actually replacing the cooler or removing the EGR valve and putting block-off plates. They're still there. You disconnect a couple sensors, you run a programmer. So visually looking at it real fast, you don't see a lot of difference. But as far as what to use, that I really don't know. Like I said, that's a whole nother realm of what I don't deal with. I wish I did. I wish I knew some more, and it's probably something I need to check into sometime in the future. Get hooked up with a company, ask some questions, see what works best. It's just that most of the people with deletes stay away from the dealership. We don't really see them unless we got recalls on it. David Martins. Could you answer my question again? Sorry, I just logged in and missed your answer. David, you have to repeat it to me, buddy. I don't know where it was. I may have answered it already. I may not have. If I have, great. If not, just ask me again and I'll try to get to it. Steve, thanks. You're welcome, Steve. Michael, watch your video on put water pump on PT timing replacement. Went great. Awesome. That's one of the big ones. That's a hard job for just about anybody to do. PT cruisers. We know repair shops that turn them away. I hear people talk about that all the time. Some shops refuse to do them. To me, they're gravy. Once you follow some of the steps and you do a couple, there's nothing to them. But a lot of people run from them. Usually when the belt's break, people tell them that they need an engine because it bent the valves, and that's not the case. So you'll find them on Craigslist for about $500 for a broken timing belt when there's nothing wrong. You put a belt on it and maybe a pump if you're in there already. But that's one of the things you come across. Hats off to you for doing it. It's a big job, like I mentioned, and a lot of people run scared. The fact that you did it is awesome, and I'm glad that the video helped. Okay. Some of these names I can't pronounce, and I apologize for not even saying them because I don't really want to butcher them. Hoven Grotsmeer. I'm going to say it like that. Makes sense. Hope it does. Thank you, sir. Wyatt, Oz is getting around. Yeah, I know. You get around when you send everybody your t-shirts. And I do need to get off and send him one. He's a good guy. He's a YouTuber starting out. He's a mechanic, so of course that's everybody's day job. And of course people like to film stuff and help people. And that's what Oz is doing. So go over there and make sure to check his channel out as well. Give him some support. Help him out. It's the only way we can grow is with viewers like you. But overall, he's an awesome guy. I come across many issues with the '08 caliper. CVT issues. That's the main thing, because the CVT, excuse my French, was a piss poor transmission. It should have never been in none of our vehicles. Nissan's had it, and they've had issues with it too. But over a period of time, you come up with issues where the transmission wants to overheat. And it's just the design of the transmission. You can't drive highway speeds, such as driving at 80 miles an hour for a long period of time, like a couple hours at a time, with 3 or 4 people in the car, or fully loaded, or super hot outside. Any combination of those can cause that transmission to overheat. So it's something I don't like a caliper, mainly because of that reason. The engine's got some couple minor things that go wrong. You'll have some bearing failures as far as pulleys or the alternator, but for the most part, that engine's a good engine. Transmission sucks. Excuse me. Bobby, 2011 Charger RT sometimes cuts out in power on high RPM, only from first to second. Think it might need new plugs at 70,000. Don't know if it's had a tune-up or not. That'd be one thing you could check into. Usually the plugs on those, back in that time frame, is probably still 30,000 miles. It's something to check into. Make sure it does have good plugs. As far as any kind of cutting out from first to second, makes me wonder, is it a possible transmission shifting issue? Because if it don't have any other speeds or other ranges, you're narrowing it down to a specific point, and the only thing really related at that point is the transmission. Now we'll have to see how things go. Double check your plugs, see what happens. In regards to a 2012 Tradesman, 3-key turns generators. I got you, I know. Alright, I see what you're talking about, Mike. Mike's talking about when you turn the key 3 times, you get a code on the dash. Implausible left wheel distance signal received, stored code. Scanner also brings up a C1027 left rear wheel speed sensor signal erratic performance. So that's probably going back to the original question, why you replace both of the ABS speed sensors. Definitely make sure the code's cleared and see what happens. If you haven't had that chance, if you're just replacing it, there's some codes that kind of want to keep coming back for some stupid reason unless you clear them. That would be the first step. Any kind of repairs like that, I recommend clearing. Otherwise, you're going to have to scope the speed sensor and see what's going on. You're probably going to have to scope it at the ABS control module and watch the signal pattern to see what's going on. Now, of course, you're not going to have a lab scope. You're not going to have that information. So I understand trying to start with the speed sensors based off of the codes. One thing, I don't like the 3-key method. You get some crazy codes sometimes. Obviously, it generated the left speed sensor, so it must be fairly accurate on yours. I'm not a big fan of the 3-key, but it's something I learned a long time ago. Haven't used it in probably 15 years. Christian, thanks, bro. You're welcome, Christian. Clay, I can't help you much with the Honda. I wish I could. I don't know the difference between a J30A and a J30A1. Need some more 300C videos soon. I will try my best. Hemi 300C, you got it. I think I covered a lot of the basics, right? I would love to do like a rear diff service on one. Otherwise, we talked about, I don't think we did the plug replacement on one. We did one on a Jeep. But yeah, I probably need to do like water pump stuff like that. But I gotta have a vehicle needing one so that I can do that. I can't just take one off. Justin, thank you for the time. Love the videos. Thank you, Justin, for watching. Matter of fact, thank every one of you for watching. This channel wouldn't be where it was if it wasn't for my loyal subscribers. Hoven, That video you did on the Jeep replacement, the plastic clip on the left shifter cable helped me on the caliper. And you were right when I opened the shifter box and seen crushed plastic that looked like macaroni. Exactly. We have some issues on those cars. Patriots, I think the Patriot's probably the video he's talking about. Every now and then you'll get that shifter that doesn't want, or it moves too freely and it's not changing the indicator on the dash or transmission's not moving. You take the console off and the rubber for the shifter bushing where it goes on the shifter is just deteriorating and falling apart. Exactly what he's talking about there. There's a website, bushingfix.com. That's a great place to go to get repair bushings for that, so you don't have to replace the entire cable, because usually on stuff like that, you go check with the Chrysler dealer, they're going to say you're going to need an entire cable because they don't sell the bushing separate. Bushingfix.com does. Save you a buttload of money there and time. Hi, my EcoDiesel has 23,000 miles and it has gone into limp mode twice and has had injectors replaced. They say the boost sensor gets full of soot and the EGR is filthy. Is this common occurrence? Well, I don't see many issues at all with the EcoDiesel. It could be the part of the country you're in. I know down here in the south, I've had to put 2 resonators on as far as for the intake system coming off the intercooler. That's it. I don't have any issues internally. I don't have many issues externally. You might have a 3-way coolant valve every now and then, but for the most part, been holding up great. I don't really see any issues, especially having to put injectors in. That don't mean it's possible, but around where I'm located, it's not a common occurrence. Clay, anyone know if there's any difference? All right, gotcha. Yeah, if anybody knows anything about Hondas, that's the thing about these live chats. If any of you know any of the answers to this question, remember now, it's not about me just answering questions, because I'm not going to know everything. But if there's another brand out there and you other mechanics around here are watching, know something, especially about the Hondas, feel free to chime in, mention the person's name, send a comment, post it there. Hopefully he'll read through it and see what's going on. Clay might see that you're helping him. I know Keith's real big on doing that, which is always appreciated. Remember, it's all about helping each other. So I'll help you the best I can, but I don't know everything. If you know something, feel free to leave a comment in this live feed. It's always great to see people helping each other, because when you pull your knowledge together, we know a lot. Individually, maybe not so much. Christopher Gonzalez. Hi, 2015 Patriot. I replaced the AC condenser, which is also the trans oil. Besides the AC vacuum, any protocol for the tranny oil? Other than checking the oil level. I'm trying to think 2015 what transmission it has in it. Can't really pull it up at the moment because that jumps between screens. I hate to see questions piling up, but I'll try it real quick. 2015 Patriot. You're probably not going to have to worry about anything other than your typical AC, pulling a vacuum, charging it up. Now, as far as that transmission fluid level, let's see real quick what it says about checking it, because right off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I don't seriously think we had the CVT by then, so we probably got some kind of replacement. Double check that one more time. 2015 Patriot. See if I can get this done in a timely manner. If not, I might have to jump over you here. Now here's the deal. I'm not seeing a Patriot listed. Now the reason why, well, no, I do, I'm sorry. Sometimes we got different names for different cars all over the world, so I thought maybe it was where you were from. Let's see what we got here. I have much luck there, am I? Whoa, how does it get into Korean? Alright, see, we're having some issues here. Everything's in Korean or German. It won't even give me English for some reason. I'm not going to be able to help you with that one right now, Christopher. Whatever reason, the information on Chrysler's site is in different languages. I'd have to refresh it and hope for the best. We'll see. That is very strange. Maybe I had it open for too long. Come on, where are you? Where are you? I know you're in here. I saw you a minute ago. Patriot, that's MK. Alright, we're getting a little more promising luck here. Let's see what we got. Nothing, right? Great. Something's going on with the website on Chrysler's because it says no results found as far as information, so I don't trust that. So not much I can do with you on this live feed here, Christopher. I apologize. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. Had an incoming call apparently. Let's get back to that. Christopher, I can't help you out much with that because I don't have the access to the correct information. It's acting screwy. What we'll probably do, ladies and gents, is probably stop with the questions. I want to keep going through them though. But as far as asking new questions, you might want to lay off for right now because I gotta still have time to go through all these. We're about to hit the 1 hour mark, so try to answer what I can. I don't want to leave many of you hanging. I don't want to leave this live feed with questions unanswered. So if you can just at this point refrain from asking new questions, that'd be appreciated. Carlos, thank you. You're welcome, Carlos. Hobo Garage. Thanks, great channel. Appreciate it, Hobo's Garage. David Martins, sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. On a 2015 Ram Express Hemi with the 8-speed, what causes the ECM to buzz when the brake is depressed? Yeah, David, that was a question I answered earlier. You're right. On that one, the old school vehicles had the shifter on the steering column. They wouldn't come out of park unless you depressed the brake pedal and also had the key turned on. The shifter knobs on the dash are exactly the same. There's a safety feature built in, so the brake pedal has to be depressed for it to come out of park, otherwise it won't. So you're going to hear a slight noise of the solenoid inside buzzing or whatever that's allowing it to operate. Otherwise, I don't think it really is justified in replacing it right now. It depends on how loud it is and how much of a buzzing. For the most part, it's fairly normal, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. David, you're welcome. How to drain and fill coolant on a 2016 Ram 2500. 2016 Ram, I'm trying to think where the drain plug is on the radiator. Some of them was near the, wow. Thank you very much for that donation, $7, awesome. Much, much appreciated. You didn't have to do it, but thanks a lot. As far as draining that coolant, I'm trying to think on that one, if it's still on the driver's side, where you can get to it easy, or if it's buried where you have to access it through the passenger side bumper opening on the grill. Can't remember on that one. There's that interval where we had multiple radiators, so it was a little harder to get to. So on that one, I can't remember as far as how to fill it though. Once you find the drain, that's one thing. You can even take the lower radiator hose off if you want, as long as you got something to capture all that coolant, because there's a lot of coolant. Once you open it up, or you take the hose off, put it back on, these don't have the bleed screws like the older ones like mine. You'll fill the bottle all the way up, and then you're going to want to run it for a while and keep an eye on the bottle level. They say usually about 1500 RPM. I've actually got something that if you ask me later on, leave a comment below the video or this live feed if they give you that option after this is done. Ask me, or you can email me. Email me at david@motorcitymechanic.com, and I will send you that link on how to bleed the coolant system on that engine. And I'll try to see if I can find out where the drain plug is as well. 3.7 Texas, thanks brother. You are welcome, sir. 1500 Mike, appreciate it, man. I'll clear codes if they pop back off to the dealer. Thanks again. Enjoy the videos. You are welcome, sir. Let me know how it goes. You are welcome, Clay. Michael, puppy chewed up green wire under driver's seat and airbag light came on. Can I splice wires back together safely? Yes, you can. Don't use butt connectors. When we're doing it, now when I say splice, it's an airbag circuit, so there is some things you need to watch out for. Don't use these crimp style butt connectors, not the cheap ones you're gonna buy at the store. Personally, I would say solder it. Solder it, put some heat shrink on it, heat it up, right? Two perfect reasons for these new Milwaukee tools. So that's one way I would repair it. I wouldn't do it any other way. If you're gonna do it, solder it and good heat shrink. But you should be fine, because we've got issues on like 200s that what we had to do was the connector under the seats. Chargers, 200s, some other vehicles too. The connectors under the seats have connection issues with the terminals for whatever reason. And the permanent repair for that was to actually cut the connectors out and solder the wires to the corresponding wires. You're supposed to really crimp them with a brass crimp. You're supposed to solder them and heat shrink. Of course, you have an issue if you ever have to take the seat out, but for the most part, you never really do, so you're okay with that. So that's the repair for those, so that'll work fine on the Journey. Just do a good quality repair. No little cable twist nuts that you see on House Electrical. No butt connectors of cheap stuff up the road. Don't. I don't even like the high dollar crimps on those because airbag circuits are really sensitive. If you use anything that you're not supposed to, like even the high-end butt connectors that got heat shrink on them that people like to use, they can cause issues. Because what people don't realize is airbag circuits always have voltage on them. You think, well, why doesn't airbag deploy? Well, it's such a small amount of voltage, millivolts. And that's how it's able to test the circuit to see if the circuit's open or if there's a short, because it's constantly monitoring what it's sending out and what it's getting back. So when you start using different things like those crimp style connectors or like I said, the high-end ones, not the little cheap ones, because we're just going to completely ignore that. They got some high-end ones that cost like $4 or $5 a piece. There's still some resistance in there that's a little bit higher than what you probably want. You probably really can't notice it with a voltometer, but it's enough to cause codes, because I can't tell you how many times I see that I have to replace those, that someone's done the repair, but they use those and it's causing problems. 37 Texas. My 2008 Chrysler 300C with 96,000 miles. How long will the Hemis last in the 9-speed Nag 1? Hemis will last indefinitely. I've seen 300,000-400,000 miles on them. You change the oil like you're supposed to. You do a coolant flush when you need to. You've basically covered all the basics with that. We're not worrying about sludge building up from the coolant breaking down. Oil's being changed constantly, so we're not getting sludge buildup. If you follow those steps, they'll hold up great. Transmission, Nag transmission's a good transmission. Just change I would say, they're getting away from the intervals of showing you when to change it. I wouldn't go more than, I'd say more than 60. I see some intervals at 120,000. And personally, I'm not going to really want to recommend changing transmission fluid at 120. There is a lot of wear in different components. There's stuff in the fluid. Once you take it out, if you had a problem that really wasn't noticeable, it's going to be noticeable. So personally, 60,000 is a great interval on a Nag transmission. Just change the transmission fluid filter, you'll be good. It's a good combination between the Hemi and the Nag. I think they're great. I wish the Nag was in my Grand Cherokee, but it's a Hemi with the 545. Still great. You just get some quirkiness from certain things. Christian, I have a 545 RFE, there we go, and my brother has a 65 RFE in his truck. What is the reasoning for the difference in temp, considering they are virtually the same? 545 seems to max 73 degrees Celsius, and 65 gets to 69 degrees Celsius. Now, Celsius, I don't really know the conversion, but as far as the biggest difference you're going to have, well, 65. 68 RFE was in the diesels. I'm trying to think 65 RFE. Please excuse me if right now my mind's a little numb. 545 is typical. I don't know what the transmission's temps seem to be based off of what you're saying. Celsius. Man, I can't do that conversion right now. Kristen, do me a favor. Send me a comment after this and I'll try to look a little more into it for you. Hovind. But I went down to Dodge and paid $8 for the bushing. Oh, so they did have the bushing for that shifter cable. Hey, $8 and all it was your time spent. You can't beat that. $8 is cheap coming out for a repair. Probably by the time you would have ordered that shifter bushing from bushingfix.com, shipping and all, you would have had more into it. And the ones at the local parts store kind of hit and miss. They'll get you a pack of a variety of them. And it's a matter of seeing what works and what don't. It's good to have an assortment, depending on what's going on. I can just grab something and see what randomly works from different vehicles. But being that the dealer had one, great. Not bad for $8. Will M, thank you so much. NY, awesome. Thank you, sir. Atomic Mass. I got all y'all, those that are donating, if I haven't mentioned it, I apologize. Will Charles, I don't know how that's pronounced, but the $7, great, thank you. Have a beer on me. Awesome. Thank you, sir. And then also the one, David, thank you for the $5. Michael, thank you for the $5. Wow, y'all are awesome. You know, you don't have to donate whatsoever. It's a live feed. But the fact that you do, it really means a lot. As you know, it takes a lot to do these videos and this channel, making it grow. I love helping people. I wish I could do this full time. The fact that y'all are donating like that really helps. It helps buy tools. It helps buy, no different than that 3.6 that I got over there on the stand with that engine. That came out of my pocket. That was $800 that I bought. Now, of course, I did different things, sold different things to make that money. But the stuff I try to put in the videos, usually if, like I got a fuel filter video I want to do soon on the Ram pickups, the diesels. I'm buying those filters, right? I'm taking them apart. It's getting material for you, trying to make it better quality. So the lighting, the sound, audio, all this is because of what all of y'all do to help support this channel. Everything y'all do, when we talk about Milwaukee tools and stuff like that, the giveaways, the more y'all contribute to the channel, especially the giveaway one that I announced earlier today, the more you do that, the more these manufacturers look at the channel and say, hey, he's got a good following. He's got a lot of people watching the videos. I can do more tool giveaways. We have more power, right? We have more power with the manufacturers when we have a big group of people. So the more you chime in, especially on the giveaway's free, right? What can you go wrong with a free Milwaukee tool? And believe it or not, someone thumbs down that video. I don't know why you would thumbs down a free giveaway video. Whatever. But yeah, make sure you join in all these. If it's just thumbs up, you don't have to donate money. Just watch the video, share them if you can on Facebook if it's on there. Whatever you can do, whatever helps out. That's all I ask. I don't need money. Money's great. It helps the channel, but I don't want to be that guy pushing, I want money, 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 money. If you shop on Amazon, that's one of the best ways. You know that supports the channel indirectly. I get a percentage, and it doesn't affect your price. That's one of the biggest ones I try to pitch because I'm not begging for your money. If you're already going on Amazon, why not, right? Your volume's a lot better. Yeah, David, I'm talking louder, and plus now I'm talking to the camera. That probably helps a lot. Thank you, sir, Papocho. I know I just said that wrong. I know I did. Thank you very much, sir. Mark, use your link in Amazon for Xmas presents this year to support your channel. Thanks for all you do. It's awesome how I talk about things and the next comment is about that. Yeah, that Amazon link is real important. That helps a lot of YouTubers. Some of them don't know about it. Most do. But yeah, anything that you buy on there, man, we get a percentage of it. It's cool that Amazon does that. And I use that mainly to buy like equipment, tools, anything I need, especially for tools for the house, because tools at the shop, tools at the house, I can't really bring stuff back and forth all the time. And I buy a lot of camera equipment, stuff to make things better, and it's all because of each and every one of you. 37, last one I asked, would be great to see a video on the water pump. That's the Hemi, right? Yeah, the Hemi, I do need to do one on the truck. I just gotta have one to put on. Gotta have one fail, right? Then I would love to be able to do it, because I know that's a question that gets asked a lot, especially on the 300s. A Hemi water pump video. Thanks for what you do. Bad Chevy C76. The help is appreciated. Bad Chevy C. I wonder if that's a C10. I had a C10 Chevrolet 76 model. Love that truck. First truck I ever owned. If it is, beautiful ride, man. Alright, we're back up and live again. I don't know what happened. But we're really down to only a couple questions, so that's kind of cool. We're getting to the end of this. So, thanks again for sticking with me. 5.9 and 6.7 water pump videos pretty much exactly the same. There's nothing really different. Now, depending on your year, you might be getting that. Well, there you go, the recall. Yeah, 2014 to 2017s. They only got like 500,000 that we've got to inspect and possibly replace. So yours might be getting done. Like I said, 6.7, 5.9, water pump replacement's almost identical. If you follow the steps in the video, you shouldn't have any problem. But that's only if you need to. Remember, recall's coming. Otherwise, it looks like we're at the end of the questions. I appreciate all y'all for contributing to this video, the live feed. Your questions are always cool. It helps build my knowledge and helps me remember things that maybe I've forgotten. When other people chime in, it kind of helps, you know, spread the knowledge. And for each one of you that helped donate, thanks. Thanks very much. What can I say? Other than thank you. I mean, it's greatly appreciated. So, I want to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everyone. I have a little comment about that coming up soon in one video. Real short little Merry Christmas video for you. Real short, but it's going to be kind of cool. You might get a kick out of it. But in the meantime, everybody go enjoy the rest of your Sunday. It looks like most of us will be going to work tomorrow. Me, I've got a funeral to go to, so won't be working tomorrow, but we'll get back into it on Tuesday, right? Thanks again, and appreciate each and every one of you for watching.